Hi, this is Prantik and Ayan for RevSportz at the OCBC Arena in Singapore, bringing you some fantastic coverage from the Singapore Smash 2025. Now, the Smash tournament is part of WTT, World Table Tennis, and it's been going on since 2022. What's unique is, many countries sort of come together to compete. They're fighting for 2,000 odd points and also US 1.5 million of prize money. And the good news is it's gender neutral. Again, that's great news for a sport like table tennis. Now, like I said, in this particular tournament, there are many countries like Germany, Japan, India, China competing, but historically, China has smashed it out of the park across all categories across the last 3 years. So this morning we just said, let's come and support Team India. There's a significantly sized contingent that's come, but unfortunately, it hasn't turned out to be a great outing for Team India. In women's singles, Manika Batra, Yashaswini Ghorpade, as well as Shrija Akula all lost. Shrija Akula had a close game. She lost 2-3. Batra, 1-3, and Ghorpade 0-3. When it came to men's singles in the R64, we had Sharat Kamal as well as Manav Thakkar losing close games 2-3. Earlier, Manush Shah and Satya had lost in the previous rounds. In the women's double, that's the game that Ayan and I watched, and I'll quickly get his thoughts. It was the famous Mukherjee sisters who started off well. They won the first game, but they lost their way thereafter, and eventually it was 1-3. Didn't really work out. In mixed doubles, good news, that's the only category where India still has some hope. Shah, Manu Shah and Chitle, Divya Chitle, they have won the game, and they sort of carry India's hopes ahead. We obviously watched also the game that Dani and Kim Huen played together. That was unique because two men in the men's doubles, although from different countries, they faced the Brazilian duo. Wasn't a pretty sight. We lost 0-3. But let's talk about the tournament, the fanfare, and specifically the Mukherjee sister game. If you remember the Asian Games, the Mukherjee sisters had created history, when they beat China in China. Exactly a year ago, if you remember, Shrija Akula and Ahika Mukherjee, one of the Mukherjee sisters, created a record when they beat world number 1 and world number 2 from China. But a year later, things look a bit different. Ayan, tell me first and foremost, your experience at the Singapore Smash 2025. What did you like? What did you enjoy?
I think from a fan perspective and as a child, they're good games around. They have virtual table tennis, glow-in-the-dark table tennis. So I think it's good. They engage children very easily. But I think the crowd, hopefully sometimes it increases, because if you see, the stand where we were sitting, there were barely 10 people. So hopefully soon it becomes 100 people, 1,000 people, so that the sport, table tennis, can get more awareness, so that more people watch and there's more support. But I think it was not bad, especially the Mukherjee sisters match. I don't think we were the only ones sitting. We were the only Indians actually in the whole entire stadium, even though there are 3 tables, 3, 2 and 4. But still, we were the only Indians. So I think it was there are some problems in support-wise, but I think the fanfare is quite good. They even have good food trucks and many stuff. They even have tofu rolls now and many other stuff. So yeah, I think the food-wise it's good. Fanfare and community-wise it's good, but I think the support might need to improve a bit more. Yeah.
That's right. Great fanfare, great food, good for vegetarians as well. Tofu, we had some good, nice tofu bows as well. Fanfare, true. I think we were probably amongst the only 2 or 3 in the in the men's doubles game. We probably saw supporters of Dani. By the way, must call out Socials, the restaurant in Mumbai. Good to see you guys supporting Dani. It obviously helps when a 23-year-old Dani has support from a sponsor as well. The Mukherjee sisters, I thought, they would. Sudhirta today, I think there were a lot of unforced errors, unfortunately. Her smashes were not going in. And I must give, credit where it's due to the Thai pair. I think Paranang, the way they picked up, their agility, their movement across the courts, the way they picked up was extremely, extremely good and agile. They lost the first game. There were 2 sets where they were sort of, the Indian duo was sort of coming back. The Thai pair were at 10, but the Indian duo sort of won 6 or 7 points in a row, but eventually could not sort of see it through. And I think what I must say though is today, as Ayan was saying, the crowd is thin, but the weekend tickets are sold. So I think it's going to be a good packed game. We saw a couple of Germany versus China, great support. Young kids coming up with their table tennis rackets to get autographs. I think the weekend's going to be packed. One thing though, I must say, I was a bit disappointed and surprised. There were so many Chinese fans, but Singapore, which is a fintech hub, did not have Chinese payment apps like Alipay and WeChat. Usually it's the case even in taxis in Singapore and various other shops. But at this place, it was a bit surprising not to see that. And I met a young Chinese fan who was very happy to sort of buy him food. He was a bit embarrassed, but that's something I thought there was a bit of a lapse. But overall, very good to see Singapore host yet another global tournament. Last weekend there was WTA, which obviously didn't see the best of tennis play in Singapore, but in table tennis, clearly we have amongst the best in the world. Ayan, your quick thoughts, when you saw the table tennis players from India, whose game did you like the most amongst the Mukherjee sisters, amongst young Dani? Whose table tennis did you like the most?
I think I like Dani's game a bit more because if you see, it was a bit nice to watch because whenever Dani and Kim, whenever they were serving, they always gave some signs to each other from below the table to see like, oh, which serve they're gonna give. So I think that was nice to see, and their teamwork was quite good, even though they had lost straight sets. But I think the teamwork overall was quite good. So yeah.
That's true. That's something fun that we saw. That all these, just the way you see in tennis or paddle, in table tennis they give these secretive codes below the table, under the table,
like this,
right? Something like this, moving their fingers. We probably obviously can't decode it, but clearly they have their own signs to sort of hint to each other what to do. Well, we had a wonderful evening on a weekday, good food, good fanfare, and our first family outing to watch a table tennis tournament of a global scale. So thank you Singapore OCBC Arena for doing this. Look at this beautiful Chinese New Year decoration, although that's tennis balls, but this is the sporting arena, a major one, the sporting hub for Singapore. So this is Prantik and Ayan signing off for RevSportz. We'll bring you more.